Back in December, Republican Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin held a hearing on the Homeland Security Committee about alternative treatments for coronavirus. He was then chairman, so he could do that kind of thing. It was an addendum hearing to another one, which took place weeks earlier. But at Johnson's hearing, a very specific drug took center stage.
Hydroxychloroquine and other safe, long-used agents, such as ivermectin, is showing particular promise, but there are others. They could be immediately available if the government stopped blocking access and deterring their use.
It seems like a no-brainer that you should try it. And here's the thing about ivermectin, going back to ivermectin, because you know that is my message today, that it is the cure for this cancer.
Yeah, by the way, you support ivermectin, right?
Of course. You're not confused about that, right, Senator?
Ivermectin, you probably heard by now, is a drug often given to livestock to treat parasites. It's typically for horses and sheep, although it is used for people. It's not, as far as we can tell so far, a coronavirus miracle drug. But that last person you heard from in Senator Ron Johnson's hearing, Dr. Pierre Kory, is one of the founding members of a group calling itself Frontline COVID-19 Critical Care Alliance, which pushes ivermectin heavily. The group is comprised of 10 doctors with a page telling visitors, if your doctor will not prescribe ivermectin for you, please contact one of the providers listed below. That group's not alone. The right-wing pandemic misinformation machine has been in overdrive. Conservative media, anti-vaccine figures have latched onto ivermectin as the cure the government won't allow you to have or something. So, of course, this stuff is flying off the shelves at farm supply stores. You've probably seen these stories. Now, in response to all this, the American Medical Association, the professional association for physicians, released a statement last week on why ivermectin should not be used to prevent or treat coronavirus, which prompts the question, why aren't these professional medical groups doing more to police members in their group pushing this misinformation? Dr. Marian Gauci-Hill is an ER doctor and president of the American Board of Emergency Medicine, which issued a statement last week reminding members that making public statements that are directly contrary to prevailing medical evidence can constitute unprofessional conduct. And if a doctor is found doing so, ABEM may withdraw or deny certification. Dr. Gauci-Hill joins me now. Doctor, thank you for coming on the program. Your statement caught my eye because I was doing a little research on this question, and this seemed the strongest one that any medical group has put out. Can you tell me a little bit about what prompted it?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that we had received any of a number of concerns by some of our certified emergency physicians as well as the public in terms of the misinformation and potential harm on public safety. So with that, we felt, given that we had already published a code of professionalism in April 2021, we felt that a statement relative to spreading misinformation that rises to the level of egregiousness that may impact public safety is worth putting out a statement that that's something that we will be reviewing.
Yeah, to take a step back for a second, I mean, lawyers and doctors, these are guilds. They're interesting sort of public-private partnerships. Government kind of grants a monopoly. You can't just become a doctor, right? The same way you can say, open a lemonade stand, right? You got to go through this sort of process of professional certification. And the idea is that in turn, there's some policing internal to the profession. How do you think about that? How often are those consequences applied in your profession to doctors that are doing things they should not be, that are medically unethical?
Well, doctors do police themselves. Obviously, the medical boards do. And I think the certifying bodies, and we're a certifying body
right,
for emergency physicians. And really the key thing is that I think we have a duty to self-govern in a way that's really accountable. And accountable not only to our diplomates to ensure the value of certification, but also to the public who trusts us. And we want to ensure that the public is confident that when they are treated by a board-certified emergency physician, that they're getting the best care possible. And also when board-certified emergency physicians make statements, that they do so that really ensures the safety of the public.
Yeah, I mean, it's striking to me, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this, but if you spend time in the world of this sort of alternate information ecosystem, whether it's pushing things like ivermectin, before that hydroxychloroquine, or that the vaccine is not safe and effective. You find a lot of doctors. I mean, it's a small handful of them in absolute numbers, but they do, and they're there in their lab coats. I mean, the sort of use of medical authority to promote this has been really a key part of the vector of this disinformation.
I think many doctors mean well, and this has been a dynamic situation in which information was coming in very quickly. And there were drugs, antivirals that had promise, but really have not been borne out. We just have to understand that that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, you're pointing here to some of the nuance, which is obviously information changes, medicine is complicated, and you certainly wouldn't want to kind of like Stalinist body that like stop people from debating effective treatment regimens, particularly if you have doctors who are finding success with certain treatment regimen. But at a certain point, when it seems to me to cross a line when you're basically becoming a kind of warehouse to prescribe this drug for folks that, there's not a lot of medical evidence to support and could be having a real deleterious effect insofar as it tells people that they don't need to get the vaccine.
I think the bottom line is we do not want to stop debate or discourse. We don't want people to be afraid to speak their mind. But again, if there is concern that impacts people who could receive treatment that is otherwise helpful, then we certainly have a concern. And so I think that the bottom line is what we are going to do is, as an organization, a certifying body, we want to uphold the highest standards that we can of emergency medicine. And we do this thoughtfully. Okay, this is not something, there is due process, there would be important review. And it is important to understand that everyone on the board is a practicing emergency physician. We're in it on the front lines like all of our colleagues.
Yes.
And we want to ensure, that their certification has value and the public continues to trust us.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I've heard from critical care docs and ER docs is you have people coming in sicker because they are self-medicating. This piece in HuffPo mentioning Caleb Wallace, the individual from Texas I talked about who died at age 30, self-medicating with a cocktail of vitamin C, zinc, aspirin, ivermectin, and dying at the age of 30. That's something that I've heard anecdotally from a lot of doctors, and it's really, really upsetting to hear that. Dr. Marianne Gauci-Hill, board-certified emergency medicine. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.